Hi, it's Julian Mellor, Easy Swing Coach. Today's video is about the backswing. I've had two videos sent me over the weekend from Billy and Michael, and some of the things that I saw them doing has really inspired me to make this video. Firstly, it's going to help those guys, but I think it's also going to help an awful lot of other golfers out there. And I really want to highlight some of the things that we see golfers doing quite commonly, and more importantly, how to fix them. So very simply, we want to turn the club to the top. And two things that I saw Michael doing and Billy doing were Billy was lifting and Michael was slightly swaying. So what is a lift to the top of the backswing? Let's get in full view. So from here is really when you quite often see the knee come out and the arms lift to the top. So visually from the side you'll see quite a big gap between the knees, and the club is kind of just, I'll try and do this slowly, is just lifted to the top. Now the downside from this one is it's very normal then on the way down to bring the club what's called from the outside. Very easy to pull shots to the left. You'll then hold the club face open. If you don't want the ball to go to the left, then you'll get that horrible slice. It's also very easy to hit on top of the golf ball, so hitting it along the ground, or actually hitting the ground and hitting the ground before the golf ball. So we don't really want to lift the club to the top. But likewise, when I was watching Michael, his upper body was doing this. This is what I would call more of a lateral move rather than a turn. Now if I turn correctly, what you'll see is the right side of my body looks fairly straight, and then as I turn in the follow through, the opposite happens here. So if I get club in hand, what I was seeing Michael doing is a bit this way as he was starting to take the club back. Now the downside to that action, if I start to sway this way, it's very easy for your forearms to get too involved in the backswing, and that could make the club come a little bit too flat, which is, again, that could make it more difficult. If you time it just right, you can definitely hit the ball from the inside, and if you square the face up correctly, you'll end up hitting a nice draw shot. But it's also very easy to leave the club face open and hit a horrible shot that goes out to the right. So if I start to turn my body away this way, what I would call a sway, that tends to make the club go on the wrong path. So what we're looking for is a turn. Remember, first principle of what we coach is turning. So if I turn to the top, that you'll see now how my right side looks a lot straighter rather than this angle going on here. So as I turn to the top, that will finish it. But then what we've got to understand is the role, what the hands and the arms are doing. So the first movement is turn. So I'm not doing anything here with my club, I'm holding it lovely and light, I'm just turning, and then from here the wrists finish the backswing. So imagine that nice throwing action that we're all capable of doing. Very, very natural action here. So what I'm not doing is rolling my forearms, or I'm not picking the club up, I'm just cocking my wrists into that lovely top of the backswing position, and this is the most natural throwing action that we can do back to the golf ball. So the first movement is turn, the second movement would be just to cock the wrists, but then if we can turn that into just a flowing movement, that would be even better. Turn, cock the wrists. The other reason to use your wrist this way is when we hold the club, your left thumb is on top, and the reason for that is to support the club at the top of the backswing. So then we've got the right hand going on, which gives it double support. So if I use my forearms and rolled my forearms, now my thumb is around the side of the golf club, which is not really supporting it. So ideally I want to turn and let my thumb go underneath the club to support it, so I could even let go of it with my fingers and it's nicely supported here at the top of the backswing. But what we don't really want to do as well in Billy's case was to lift the club to the top. So again, you'll tend to see the knee go out, the right leg gets a bit straight, and that tends to lift it and brings us down from a wrong angle. So the first movement is turn, which is our first principle of doesnt de golf. Turn, cock the wrist to finish. Nice and simple. There you go. So let's try one. So I'm just hitting a little 7-iron here, so very comfortable setup. Simple turn, wrists, going for that little finish. And if I had a pitching wedge, for instance, it's exactly the same feeling. So I'm just still turning, cocking the wrists, exactly the same. If I've got then, I've just pulled out a rescue club here, but it's exactly the same again. The only difference is I'll feel a little bit taller at address because the club is longer, but everything else is the same. Turn, cock the wrists, back to the golf ball. So things to avoid is too much forearm rotation. So forearm is when you'll start to see the hands looking a little bit flatter here, and that will take the club too much around the body, and when that happens you tend to see swings being brought back over the top. Sometimes they stay there, the body gets in an awkward shape. Then it's very much about using the hands to coordinate the golf club. Hopefully you'll strike a good one, but there's too many variables in that one. So that is forearm rotation, it's not wrists. Remember, your wrists can only do 4 things. They can go up and down, backwards and forwards this way, so you can cock and uncock. But what makes the club go flat is rolling the forearms. When they roll, that takes the club in the wrong place, or just as bad is lifting the club to the top, because that's bringing you down from the wrong angle. So turn, simple wrist set. And what we're looking for in terms of the body is, as we turn, you'll see now that my right side looks fairly straight here, and I'm not getting too much this way, or just as bad going the other way and creating an angle this way. That's when your knee is bending and the weight shift stays forward, and then it tends to reverse. So again, if I keep my weight forward, it looks like a lift. Very rare would you see that movement and somebody trying to turn the club on path, because it's almost too painful. So turn, wrist set. Let's just try that once more. Okay, nice and relaxed in your setup. Simple turn, wrist set, and off we go. Remember, it's much easier to do this if your body is in a relaxed state. So if you're tight and tensed up, it's quite difficult to get this flowing. So if you're keeping your body nice and relaxed, get it in the best state it can be to move correctly, then you should find taking the club or turning the club to the top of the backswing so much easier. As always, if you've got any questions, either leave a comment or drop me an email from my website, julianmellorgolfschool.com. I've still got I've got a 2-day course coming up mid-September, and I've got another 1-day course early in October that I've just literally released on my website. So if you did want to come and learn more about the easy swing, you're more than welcome to come and join us on this. And it's now that time of year where a lot of people are starting to thinking about hibernating. Winter is the best time of year to start to make changes to your golf swing. So if you're abroad and you don't want to come over to the UK, there's always the online coaching option, which I do as well. And I'm going to release a video on how that works, just so you'll understand the benefits of it. So I hope this has helped, and thanks for watching, guys. Take care, bye.